Let's talk about rules. How do you create them? What are they? You're gonna hear us talk a lot about rules. If you go to our website, there we mention rules, promotion campaigns, business rules, automations, all these words, and they're kind of like all related in terms of how we use them in the system. But today we're going to make an actual end-to-end example. It's going to probably make it a little bit easier to understand how the different pieces fit together, right? And the example that we're going to do is a basic free shipping promotion, right? Let's say the customer buys something, the order value goes beyond some certain threshold, we're going to give them free shipping. Pretty standard stuff. Now, before we dig into the code, we are going to have to lay out some terminology, right? So we talked about rule. What do we mean when we mention a rule? Well, we can mention it can mean different things in different contexts, but let's say we have an order. Now, the way that the rule works is that the rule will run some code. That code is coming from a rule component. So the rule component contains basically the source code of the rule. The rule is kind of like an instantiation of the rule component. So you can imagine, let's say, we'll make a rule component for a specific type of campaign, and then we can create many campaigns based on that type of campaign. So we'll have many rules that reuses the same rule component, essentially. Makes it a little bit more reusable. But then in this case, we're actually going to discount the shipping. So we have to create a discount too. And one way we can do that, obviously, we could just apply a static discount to the order, which just sits there. But we're actually going to create a computed discount in this case. And those are based also on a piece of code, we'll call it discount component. And then essentially, to bring this all kind of like home is at the time of order creation, our rule will run, and based on this discount component, it will create a computed discount sitting inside of the order that will be evaluated anytime the order changes. And so, for example, our threshold of the order total, let's say that the order total changes in the future because it's some change that happens to the order after it's being created, our computed discount will be always kind of like keep that contract alive. So that's why we're choosing a computed discount. Now, rules, the nature of a rule is, as I said, is essentially just some code. Rules have what we call hooks, which are in the system, different kind of events, if you will, where the rule runs. So in this case, we are going to use this rule on order before created, which essentially runs before the order is created. Allows us to stick that discount in there before anything else happens during the creation transaction. And then, at the end, we will create an order and we will see that it actually applies the discount. All right. So this might still be a complete blur to you, but we'll walk through the process and hopefully it'll be a little bit more clear at the end. Now, before we can really do anything like code, we want to make sure we have our Visual Studio Code extension. So we have developed at the moment, pretty basic extension for Visual Studio Code, which contains a language server that supports our kind kind of custom language that we use, and also some features around development in general, but still very, very preview. But we would add, we have tools in the pipeline for helping you debug and that kind of stuff. Writing code without this is absolutely doable, no problem whatsoever, except that if we have our extension, we'll get instant, obviously, compiler errors as we're writing the code, which is quite convenient. So in order to get this, you're going to have to go to our GitHub repository. It's called VS Code. And there's no code in here. It's just a placeholder or like a bucket for releases. So just grab the latest release, download that to your computer, and then in VS Code, you basically just go install from VSIX and pick up the file on your disk, and then hopefully it'll install. So currently running version 12. There are new updates all the time, so I encourage you, if you're using this, come onto our Discord server where we announce new versions, or well, just keep checking if there is a new release, I suppose, or watch this, watch the GitHub repo, or however you want to do it. Anyway, now the first thing you notice when you install this is that you're getting a little button here down in the toolbar. It is here next to me, and so the model, Hantera model, can be, I mean, it's extendable, right? So in order for our code, as we're writing it, to understand what kind of entities and fields and everything we have in our Hantera installation, we have to connect our VS Code to our Hantera instance. So I'm going to go ahead and just sign in. Actually, I'm going to type in the okay. Sign in here. The demo environment. And now we can see that it's connected. It says, okay, successfully loading. Great. So now we have everything we need to actually create the various components that we're then going to install into this demo environment. And then we can set up our promotion, make an order, and hopefully see that we get the discount. So the first thing we want to do is create the discount component. It's easiest to start with this one because the others kind of like reference this one. So we will create a file. We will call it, let's say, free shipping. And the extension here is important because it tells VS Code and our extension what runtime we will use for compiling the code. So in this case, we are creating a discount component. So the extension of the file should be age discount. This means that it will actually be a Filtrera or Hantera discount. So it is Filtrera code running with Hantera discount runtime. If you don't know what that means, it doesn't matter. Just do as I say, okay? Now, we're instantly getting an error here because it expects there to be actual code. So what we're going to do, the most basic computed discount that you can possibly make. Well, you can make an easier one, but it's about as easy as it gets. So we're going to create. We have one condition, right? It's the order threshold. So we have to make some kind of condition, and an easy way to do that is just to a pattern match. And let me just quickly flip this to two spaces. So we will say when order total is more or equal to this the threshold that we have. So let's say threshold. What are we going to do then? Well, then we are going to return a 100% discount on all deliveries, because if you discount the delivery, it's essentially going to be applied to the shipping. So we're going to do a percentage discount, and we're going to use a target macro here because it's easier. And then we're going to say if our entity is a delivery, that means we're going to target it, and we're just going to give it a 100% discount. We can see here now that it complains about the threshold. It doesn't know what that is. We have to define that parameter so that we can, when we create this, when our rule create this discount inside of the order, is going to set the threshold to this discount. So we have to define that. So threshold, and it's going to be a number. We're not going to worry about things like currencies. We're not going to worry about, maybe you want your discounts to have even more, let's say, conditions, like maybe based on the channel or some other things, like maybe a voucher code or whatever. This is a very, very basic example with only a single condition, basically. So yeah, that's it. That's our computed discount. And the next thing we're going to do is to create the rule that can instantiate this discount and put it on the order as the order is being created. Now we're using the age rule extension, which means that this will run under the Hantera rule runtime. Now, if you don't know what I'm talking about when I'm talking about runtime, so in Hantera, there are different runtimes for different types of components, and not every runtime has access to everything. So, for example, the discount runtime is completely pure. It has no side effects. It can only really access data that's on the order itself, while the rule runtime and especially the reactor runtime are way more powerful, where you can actually make external web requests and all kinds of stuff. You can query the graph, and you can do much more complicated or complex things. So we have in the developer portal, on the component runtime reference, you'll see all these different, rule hooks. We have rule effects, which we're going to talk about in a minute. We have various keywords and also types. And you can see here, discount rule and reactor and all of them, they basically just tell you, where can I use it? Where does it exist? So some of these exist in multiple runtimes, some of them only in one. Basically, discount is the most restricted runtime there is, rule being a little bit more open, and reactor being obviously the most powerful one. The reasons for this is quite, technical, but essentially it has to do with when they are executed, right? So discounts are executed every time the order is calculated, which means it has to be fast, and it cannot rely on external data, because it must not change its result if, the only thing that can change the outcome of a discount must be the order. Like, if the weather changes outside, that should not apply to your discount because it will not be reevaluated if it starts raining outside, if you know what I mean. Anyway, back to the rule. So the purpose of this rule is to, upon order creation, we add the discount to the order. And the way that we do that is by applying a command to the order. And there is a specific command called create computer order discount. And that's what we're going to use. So again, back to the developer portal, if we check the order reference, we can see that there are a bunch of commands that we can apply to an order actor, one of them being create computer order discount. There's also create computer order discount by source, which allows you to pass in the source code into the command itself, just as a string. We won't do that now because it's just annoying to write code in strings. But essentially what it allows you is to kind of like bypass this discount the body. You never create that. You just create kind of like, you put the source code straight into here and it just runs on the fly. But if you have the option, you're gonna want to create a discount component and then reuse that. This though has certain benefits, like maybe you're working with an external e-commerce platform that has its own campaign engine or something like that. And maybe when you're importing those orders into your order management Hantera, you might want to create, like you can literally generate source code based on those rules in the ecom, and then we can replicate the behavior of that external campaign engine inside Hantera, for example. So that's kind of like an integration scenario, or whatever other source generation you want to do. You can do it on the order itself. But for now, we are going to use this one, create computer order discount, which takes. We're not going to do. We don't care about discount ID, but what we were just basically going to reference, okay, what discount component are we talking about? And then we can pass in the parameters and we can set some dynamic values as well, which we will do. So how do we write this? Well, going back to VS Code, and the first thing we're going to do is define when this rule is going to run. So the parameter input, that input is a special word, right? In a rule context, input means the input to the rule. It's reserved for that purpose. And we are going to say on order before created. By specifying the type of the input parameter, we are essentially telling the rule engine, only run this rule upon this specific hook. You can have a rule that runs on multiple hooks if you want. For example, you can make this into a union and you can say on order created, let's say, and now it will run both on order before created and after it's been created. And to be fair, you can just type it as a value and now it will run on any hook anywhere in the system. Not the most common use case, but you can do that if you really want to. The second thing we're going to want to do here is to allow our whoever is the marketer or the user who want to set up this promotion, they might want to give this promotion a name, right? To identify it on the order. So we're going to allow them to pass in a name. And then also we're going to allow them to set the threshold. And that's going to be a number. The next thing we're going to do is basically code the meat of this rule, which again, very, very simple rule. It's always going to return a single effect. So the output of rules has to be effects. What's an effect? Well, you can think of it as a kind of like a recipe. It tells Hantera what to do. The rule engine will run this rule, take the output, and then basically do whatever that output says. So again, we go back to the developer portal in the runtime reference. We have a section called rule effects where we can see the different effects that we can return from rules. We have things like order command. We also have message actor and schedule jobs, which allows you to create rules that can schedule jobs. For example, let's say an order updates and the state of a delivery changes from open to processing. What you probably want to do then is send it to the warehouse, for example, for packaging. So you can use the state change to trigger the rule, or pick up that change in the rule, schedule a job that does the actual exporting of the delivery, for example, the picking order. You can also message other actors, so we can create, let's say something happens to an order, and we want to create a payment, or we want to create a ticket or whatever from that action. We can actually do that straight from within a rule. In this case, we are going to work with the order command rule effect, which allows us to apply a command to the rule, to the order, and in this case, during the creation of that order. So the way these effects look, like the nature of them, is basically just records. They have an effect field, and in this case, we're going to say this is an order command. We see now that it's complaining because we are defining a order command effect, but we didn't specify which type of command we actually want to apply. So we're going to add that. Now, again, all of this is in the reference. So we can click on order command. Here we see the the type expected. So this is how we know that, okay, type needs to be the command type. And then we had to add additional fields for the specific command we're going to create, which in this case will be create compute order discount. So the type of command is create computed order discount. Now, it's still going to complain because it says, wait a minute, you want to create computed order discount. Well, you haven't specified the component ID. You haven't specified, the parameters. So we are going to add a component ID. And now the problem is we don't know yet what the ID of that component is, but I'm going to put in the ID that I know we're going to create it as later. So discount, free shipping, age discount. That's going to be the ID of the discount component when we installed it on Hantera, and we're gonna do that in a minute. And we're going to pass on the parameters that this discount need. If we didn't pass in the correct parameters here, we would essentially get an error during order creation, because we wouldn't be able to apply this command would fail. And if one command fails, all of them fails, and that's the whole point of commands, is that they are transactional. Either everything works or nothing works. So that's important that we get this right here. And parameters is a map, which means that we have to specify them like this. And the threshold here is going to be the threshold parameter, but actually parameters has to be a text map or text-to-text map. So we're going to just basically wrap this in a template from a string template. So this basically parameters, the value of parameters is kind of Filtrera syntax serialized strings or just strings. So in this case, it's a number, and number is just like that. A literal number in Filtrera is just a number. So we can just type it in like this. And we're also going to add some dynamic fields to this discount. So what this effect actually does is it creates a discount entity, if you will, inside of the order. And discounts are, we can see them from the portal, we can see them obviously in the graph, and we want to give this discount a name so that we can recognize it. And the convention is that if you have a discount that has a dynamic field name, that's how we are going to display it also in the portal for users. So while Hantera doesn't really care about the dynamic fields per se, the portal does. So if you want to display this discount as something readable, we want to use the name field for that. And obviously we can just type any name we want here, but we actually want to take the name that we got from the user. So we pass it in like this. So if you're not familiar with Filtrera syntax, you might wonder, okay, well, why is there an equal sign here and an arrow here? That doesn't make any sense. Well, this is a map, essentially a key value map, which maps the string threshold to the string, well, value of threshold in this case, while dynamic is a record. And this is the name of the field, and that field can contain anything, really. So it doesn't have to be a string. It can be whatever you can put in here. Just like dynamic fields, if you were to write them to the public API, all dynamic fields in Filtrera can be any value I type. All right. This is basically our rule. What it does here, again, it creates a discount entity in the order, and that discount entity will point to our discount component. Our discount component will essentially check if the order total is above a certain threshold, and if it is, apply a 100% discount across the board on all deliveries on that order. So how do we use this? Well, if we were to just now go into the portal, and we were to try to create a promotion, let's say we will create a promotion here that would run through March, for example. It doesn't matter really. There are no promotions to add. We haven't installed any promotions in the system. So all I can do is just save this, and that's it. So we have to install these two components, specifically the rule component, because that's what's going to show up as a selectable promotion type inside the portal, but also obviously the discount, because otherwise the rule won't even run in the first place. The easiest way to do that is to create a manifest file that defines these two components inside of Hantera, and then we apply that manifest on our Hantera instance using the CLI, Hantera's command line tool. And basically we should be good to go. So I'm going to create a manifest file, and a manifest file can contain multiple documents. It's a multi-document YAML. The way each document is structured is that it has a URI. And in this case, we are going to create, well, first of all, we're going to create a discount component. So components, and let's say, put this on the discounts, free shipping .h discount. Now, here's where that component ID stuff comes in. So this part of the URI, that's the ID of this discount component. So when we say discount / free shipping.h discount here in the rule, we are referring to this object in Hantera. And then we need to provide a specification for this this entity that we want to create. And the only thing you need to provide for a component is a version, but let's just put whatever for now. And then we are going to put a code file with the relative path to the actual file that we want to install. So free shipping is discount. So that this is a path relative to the manifest file. Now, an alternative to this is to put source and then just type in the actual source code. But that's pretty annoying. So we're going to use the code file reference here instead. And the CLI, when it applies this manifest, it will actually go to this, it will find this file and then kind of like put that in the manifest and send it all over to Hantera. And then we need to create the rule component, obviously. So similar stuff, resources and components. And then here's an important thing. If you want to work with the promotion interface inside of the portal, it is kind of like namespace. So it would only look for rule components that are in the promotions namespace. So free shipping.h rule. If we put it somewhere else, let's say here, it won't show up in the UI, in the dropdown that we were just looking at. The reason for that is you might have a lot of different rules for many different purposes, system rules that just kind of like ensures the integrity of the system itself. You don't want them to show up as promotions. You don't want, a marketer to mistakenly run a rule that can potentially bring the whole system down. You won't bring Hantera down, but you won't cause a lot of issues. So let's not do that. For components, there are some optional values we can set though, such as display name. And for promotion rules, I'd say that's a pretty good idea because that will give the user a much better experience. So we're going to write free shipping here. We can also add a description. We'll say gives free shipping to all deliveries based on order total. And we also have to set the component version and the code file. So this will be free shipping page rule. All right, that's it. So now we need to apply this manifest to Hantera, obviously. And for that, we're going to use the CLI h underscore. And if you don't have that, you can just install it using npm. There's a guide in the developer portal how to do that. You literally just run this, assuming you have Node installed, and that's it. So now we're going to do h underscore manage. And the first thing we're going to want to do is log in to our Hantera instance that we want to use. So we're going to say login demo econ. Now this will open up in log in a separate browser. I'm just gonna go ahead and log in, and we can see here now that we logged in. We are going to set this as a default instance that we're gonna work with, which means that when we run all these manage commands, we don't have to specify that, oh yes, it's demo ecom that we want to work with. Because you can have multiple sessions. Maybe you have, let's say, multiple developer environments that you're working with in parallel. You don't want to keep logging in and logging out on all of those. So you could just have them all kind of like set up, and then you can choose which one you want to use for each and every command. You can also manually change the default tenant by just going with the use command. And if you do it without actually specifying the session, it will just tell you which one is the current one. And then of course you can just say use demo ecom, and now that will be set to the default. All right. Next thing we want to do is apply our manifest. And we can do that like this. And we can see that, okay, it apply these two documents. So for each one of these, and we can see these are the resources that were now created. All right. So now, given that we have installed it, if we, I'm just going to go ahead and open this again. I think we might have to. Yeah, there you go. Now we have a promotion we can select, and this label and description comes from the manifest, the component itself. So the rule component specify this name and this description, and that's why we see it there. That's why if we didn't put that there, it would just say like free shipping.h rule. The user might not know what that is. So we can also see the parameters are automatically displayed here in the UI for the user. So I'm just going to go ahead and call this Christopher's free shipping. And the threshold, let's say 100, whatever. We don't, again, we didn't care about currency, so it's like 100 or whatever currency the order happens to be in. It's fine for this demo. And I'm going to go ahead and save this, which didn't work for some reason. Oh, maybe it's sensitive. Okay. It was sensitive to that. Probably add that to the bug tracker. Anyway, we have our free shipping now active in the system, since this will work all the way through March. And all that's really left to do now is to create an order and see if we actually get the discount, right? For this, I would use, create a new file here, and we call it create order.http. And we're just gonna create this order over the public REST API, if you will, using the REST client in VS Code. So one way we would do this is essentially, I'm gonna just give me a sec here. Okay, so we are going to post this to the core instance of demo ecom. That's this address. And we're going to create an order. So actors order new, and we're going to add the preview flag. So we're not creating random orders here while we're kind of like testing this. We'll still see the discount anyway, so it's fine. We're going to use JSON, which is the recommended format. We also do support YAML, which is nicer when you're like hand typing. But JSON is the recommended for production loads because it's just slightly faster than YAML parsing. But again, if you prefer the YAML, feel free to use it. So we're gonna need to authenticate, right? Because you're not gonna be able to create orders just by like that. And the easiest way to do this is to get a hold of an API key, which is pretty easy to do. I'm gonna just reload this because I had hidden this for a test that I was doing before. I'm gonna go to personal access token on my profile, and I'm going to create a new demo. Let's say it'll be valid until some days. I'm just gonna give myself full access here and create it. Now back to the request. I'm just gonna put some hard coding in here. That's gonna be enough for now. Now we have to also obviously add the body that creates the actual order. When you're posting messages, what we're going to do here is we're posting a series of message to an order with ID new, which is it's kind of a special ID, which when you're sending any message to this alias, it will generate a random order ID for you. And you can send multiple messages in the same request. And the main benefit for that, other than avoiding extra round trips if you're going to send multiple messages anyway, is if you're doing that within one preview request, what you will see is that all of the messages will run within the same preview transactions. And that's going to be important for this test. So we're going to go ahead and create the order. The first message that you're always going to send to an order is the create message itself. And the body of this message is going to contain currency code because we always need that. And we're going to say that tax is included on this one, on this order. And then we are going to add the commands, the initial commands. And first we are going to create a delivery so that we have something to actually discount and also something that can hold our order lines. I'm going to go ahead and insert a grid here. The reason so normally the delivery ID when you're creating a delivery is optional. But as we are going to immediately now create order lines on this delivery itself, we specify the delivery ID so that we can reference it later in the same request. And we're going to set shipping price to, let's say, 19. And actually that's going to be a number, so like that. Next, we're going to create a borderline. And here we are now going to reference this delivery ID. So we're creating this order line on the delivery that we just created. We're going to set the product number. And we'll just make up a product. Again, when you're creating like a raw order, you can create whatever. You could just set whatever product number you want. No big deal, no magic, no complicated stuff. All right. So let's create a unit price of 50 and say that the quantity is going to be 1. This will give the order total of 69, which is not above the threshold of 100. Okay. So we should not get a discount in this case. Then, as a separate message in the same transaction, same preview transaction, we're going to query the graph. And this is where sending both of these messages in the same request starts to make sense, because we are now going to be able to create the order and then query the graph as if that order has been created, all within the same preview transaction. And when the request is done, we are going to see what was created in the graph. Should we have done this for real? And obviously, when the request returns, there won't be any traces of this in the database. And we are going to create the query message. So the query message, when you send a query to an actor, you are querying the graph starting from that actor's root node. So in this case, the order node in the graph is going to be our starting point. So when we say fields here, for example, we are going to get the order number of this particular order. We might want to see the order total. And then we are going to navigate, because we want to obviously see the shipping total of our deliveries. So we're going to fetch all the deliveries for this order. And for each delivery, we want to fetch, we can fetch the delivery number if we want, and let's say the shipping total. All right, so that gives us, that will show whether the free shipping campaign has been applied or not. And on top of that, we might want to see whether the discount actually was created at all. Because maybe for some whatever reason, our rule didn't run and our discount was not applied. So we're going to fetch order discounts. And for each order discount, we want the fields. And well, let's get the dynamic fields, because that's where our name is. So we will find that Christopher's free shipping or whatever it was. All right. Sorry for the bad indentation here. That could have been done in a better way. I don't think I've missed anything. So let's see if we send this. Okay, interesting. We forgot the S. There you go. Oh, interesting. We got component discount free shipping.h discount not found. So let's see where we must have made a mistake somewhere. Discounts. Okay. And this one says discount. So in order to fix this, I'm just going to update H rule file, add it, make sure that the component ID is correct. And then I'm just going to apply this again. That's going to update the existing resources. And now if we go back to request and we can send it, now everything works. And we can see here that on the order discount, there was indeed a discount created, Christopher's free shipping. But you should also see that the shipping total is 19. So how does that work? Wasn't we like either you have the discount or you don't, right? Well, remember that the rule always creates the discount on the order. And then it's the discount, since it's a computer discount, it figures out by itself if it should be applied. So this tells us that the discount is added to the order. And if the order total ever changes, in the lifetime of the order, as long as this discount is still being kept on the order, it will be applied if the conditions are met. So if, let's say, we were to go into this, well, let's say we had created this order for real and we had opened it up and added a new order line, for example, and now the order total is about 100, then the discount would be applied immediately as soon as that threshold goes beyond. Similarly, if, let's say, a customer orders 3 items and the total is above 100, and then they return one, now the total drops below 100, they no longer get the free shipping, for example, because that was not the deal, right? So that's how, using computed discounts, we can do these reversals. Whenever something changes in the future, we still make sure that the discount kind of contract is intact. And you could have seen that we could have created a static discount in our rule, which is a different command, like create static discount or create a static order discount. In that case, we would have just added the discount once and it would never be evaluated again. And there are cases when that makes more sense, and there are cases where a computed discount makes more sense. Anyway, I also wanted to add calculated total. I think that's the name. Let's see. Yes. So we can also see here this discount has a calculated total of 0. That means it exists on order, but it has not given anything any discount. Now let's see what happens if we bump up the quantity to do 2, because now the total should be 100, right? And there you go. When we have the order total going beyond our threshold of 100, we see the calculated total now is 19 of this discount. That means it has given something discount. And if we look at the deliveries, we see that, yes, indeed, the shipping total is 0. So our free shipping worked. We could, you can also obviously fetch on deliveries. I highly recommend checking out the graph reference in the developer portal. So discounts, for example, has calculated discounts, and also delivery has calculated shipping discounts. So you can find like very all the details about why is the shipping total 0. Well, you will be able to see that in the calculated discounts nodes that are attached to that delivery. So it's all easy to see where it came from. We can even go ahead and actually run this and create the order and just see what it would look like. Now, there's a very bare bone order. It didn't even provide an actual description or anything, with just a product name. So not sure how this will actually look. But if we check the orders, we have this order here that we just created. We know it's this one because, so we know it's this one because the order number is the same as the order number that we got back from the request. And if we were to open this, we can see here, again, this is where that name comes up, Christopher's Free Shipping. And we got some translation errors here, but that's because this is an unfinished order view at the moment. Obviously, we don't get much product data here either. We don't have any addresses. There's a lot of stuff missing, but that's the nature of creating an order without any data on it. So that's basically it. Now, if the promotion expires or if it gets deleted, it does not affect the order because the order has everything that it needs. It has the discount itself stored on the order. So from now on, the rule that we created, it doesn't matter for this order. This order is kind of like self-sustaining with the computed discount. We can delete this promotion now if we want to. It will not affect anything. All right, that's basically it. Start to finish, how to make a new custom computed discount with all the bells and whistles, except maybe and then not so advanced, not a very advanced logic or anything, just a simple threshold of the order total. But I'm sure we'll get to create much more complex rules and discounts in the future in another video. Thank you for watching, and feel free to subscribe to the channel or just join us on Discord if you have any questions. Have a good day and see you next time.